All right, folks, this is Ketter with Hot Takes, Cardhoarder Gaming, little Darwin Chord action. Let's see what goes down here. So, opening hand looks great. We've got a nice one drop with our mana fixed up pretty nicely. So, we're going to keep it pretty simple. Run out the birds. From here, hopefully this Wall of Omens will... yeah, we'll get a green-white land off of that. Okay, so the combo matchup here. Or... Alright, I'm going to wall first, try to hit another land. Definitely want to make sure I hit my land drops with this deck. Probably going to continue to sit on that land until next turn. Not really in any rush to crack. I would love to hit a source so we can slam this Linvala on the 3 and hopefully lock our opponent off of whatever shenanigans he's engaging in. I do wonder what that gemstone mine's from. Remember, that's ad nauseum. Okay. We are bopless. Alright. Ascendancy. I would imagine. Yep. That's cool. We'll hit our land here. Looks super smart. Very thin. Yeah! That is not what we were hoping for. Alright, we're going to tutor up a green-white, put a Spellskite into play. I'm sorry, a red-white is appropriate here. Yeah. Pay the 2 life, and hopefully we don't just get killed next turn. But things happen, life goes on. So it explains the Gemstone Mine. Definitely a card you're only going to see in decks that are willing to sequence only a few spells on their path to victory. I have a feeling our opponent's going to have this one pretty nearly locked up. So I have F6'd. I will turn off the auto yields here. Once he gets through a couple loops, our opponent doesn't have a way to generate mana off of this, so he's probably just going to dig through quite a few. There's the Fate Stitcher. So my guess is he's then going to... Oh, he's got double Fate Stitcher, you say? Okay, okay. So a combo matchup versus this deck is definitely not great as we'd want it to be. Okay. Interesting. I think you're supposed to get this in play immediately when you've got the floated mana. Oh, that's right. Okay, so he now has the mana floated, so he'll put the Fate Stitcher in play. Allow him to just basically go off from here. Day I die. Not really sure what his kill condition's going to be, so we're going to stick around for that, see if we can try to get an edge there. So turn back on the old F6. Okay. Interesting. So if we had that bird and we put that Linvala in play, this match is about as close to over as we could be. So it looks like our opponent is going to either dig a few cards deeper. They don't have the dredge spells anymore for the big payoff. They used to be able to go through this loop, treasure cruise for 1 mana, draw 3 and keep going. Thankfully, they've cut that shenanigans out. Or those shenanigans. Anyway, alright. Not that we're in any business to do anything besides just hang out, but... Well, we can't cast any spells. We do still have this Spellskite. So as long as his... Apologies. As long as his removal spells are not completely looping around the Skite, or he doesn't have a way to get multiples, I think we'll be in good shape. Okay. Well, this is definitely something to focus on our side of the table. Definitely something that I would be worried about if you were to play this deck, and not just this deck specifically, but the combo decks in general. It's definitely something that they can just punish whatever it is we're trying to do. So it looks like our opponent's probably just going to like tap this down. He might be setting up just a nice attack on us. That's what I would imagine. Yeah. So then he's just got to put 6. Okay. Okay. Well, as long as he doesn't totally brick on spells here, we're pretty dead. So that's 9. He'll need... Each trigger is another 3 damage. Quite a few other ones. So now he'll need 1 more spell after this, which I imagine he has with 3 cards in hand. Once he has demonstrated his Yep, okay. So now we concede. He had lethal there on the next turn. Let's see what we can do out of the sideboard here. So I like this Celestial Purge. Pride Mage. Well, Schnorren does lock him out of doing other things. That's another good one. Okay. So cards we're going to look to cut. I want to keep in my creature interaction, or bring in more. This is a deck that still has to... Actually, I wonder if we're supposed to be trimming those and leaving in some amount of voices. So Revelark and Thragtusk don't really... Revelark seems fine. Thragtusk doesn't seem necessary at all. So my issue with EE is if we bring it in for like the 1s and 2s and stuff, we still run a risk of not being able to, I don't want to say pop it in time, but just setting ourselves up for kind of some weird situations where we have to cast it on 1, maybe we lose a 1. Getting it to 3 to blow up their Jeskai Ascendancy, I think that's considered optimal. The question is how do we make that happen consistently? So we're looking to cut 2 more cards. Sage seems good. All right, 40 seconds on the clock. I don't want to dilute us too much, so we're just going to bring in the singular EE. No, we're not going to bring one in. We're going to leave this in the deck. We're going to cut all these guys. That puts us to 60. We'll submit that. So we ended up just bringing in more spot removal, another Pride Mage, another Purge. I think that's how you attack this deck. I just want to blow up their untap effects and the like. Obviously, if they silence before we get to that situation, we're in trouble, but I'm okay with that. Play first, and hopefully we... Alright, another fine sequence. We can tutor up a couple different things from this. We'll keep this. That bolt was devastating last time, so... Let's hope they don't get us again. Now, I'm sure with a better understanding of the deck, I'd probably look at cutting things like Chord of Calling and the like. Okay. So I'm aware of the deck having a turn 2 if it can go... Yeah, we're just going to let that happen. We're going to hope we hit our third land again, cast this P and K. Hopefully go from there. I guess if our opponent wants to turn 3S, we really don't have any recourse here. Just kind of highlighting one of the downsides of the deck. I think Tron is considered a pretty bad matchup for us, as they can interact some and sequence forward in a way that puts us in a bad position. Okay, so him probing first makes it pretty clear he doesn't have the turn 3. Looks like he's just going to probably dig a card deeper. Can't really think what else. Well, unless he just has a second one. And then we're just covered a couple different ways. Okay. Okay. So as inefficient as this is, I think at this point I have to put in the 1/4 and just hope I draw the lands I need from here. Yeah, not really much we can do. I guess if our opponent is a Spell Pierce, we look really silly, but definitely can't win them all. Alright. Let's see what happens. Please don't punish us, please don't punish us, please don't punish us, please don't punish us. No Spell Pierce. Okay, I think we're dead. I'm smelling a Spell Pierce. Yeah. Worse. Alright. Got us. Let's see what our opponent has for us. We did institute the old F6 here. I'm going to take a quick sip of water. Well, first hot take, this deck is awful. Not the case, but like I was saying, if the metagame does become extremely combo-centric, this is just a tough one to deal with. Unfortunately, without the 4th land, we didn't really have, another great option there. There's always the possibility that we get to draw the 4th land, put the P and K in play, and then we untap and we're in good shape, but our opponent had the pretty quick ascendancy both games. We're just going to wait for him to go through his loops. I do know this is a deck that can sometimes not get there. I highly doubt it. Looks like he's already in the pitching land stage. So he's probably got just a handful of spells here. I imagine he gets like Scarscale Ritual or something of the like. Draws 2 cards. So one thing now with this deck, without it having the delve options, you definitely run into some interesting situations where you've got to get the Fate Stitcher in play if you want a chance to really, come back and win the game. In the interim, we just get to watch a whole lot of clicking and unclicking. So I wish I had some deep insight to give in this situation, but that's just really not the case. The matchup is one of the possible worst ones for Kiki Chord, Darwin Chord, Evolution. It did give me a chance, though, to show you my biggest concern with Eldritch Evolution, and that's called Counter Magic. As much as the card has a huge, upside with it offering you another tutor target, and you get to, easily scale up mana cost for 3 mana. If people want to play blue spells, you don't really get that luxury all the time. So step 1 of beating the deck would probably be getting involved with a little bit of remand action and the like. Step 2, probably attack the birds. Every time I've played against it, it feels like that's a pretty reasonable angle to go after people. Okay, so with the second Ascendancy, that puts our opponent's deck into just kind of absurd territory. He's going to be able to loot twice. We'll open up, make sure he has a Fate Stitcher. Yeah, at this point in time, instead of wasting his time and, you know, having him click through loop after loop, I'm just going to concede here. The chances of him, you know, fizzling at this point are slim to none. He gets to... Oh, he's just going to bolt myself. Yeah. We're done here. So, for those that are unaware, though, the way that the win condition works on the Ascendancy side now is he'll eventually, you know, tap down our only blockers. He'll get his creatures to a requisite size and just attack through for lethal with double loots and double triggers. Once this next one resolves, he's looking at 13 damage, which means one more trigger or one more spell would get the game from there. So, game 1, hot takes, Kent Ketter. Took a tough one on the chin from a combo deck, but it's good to see where a deck is at its worst. This is definitely one of those cases. I think even if we had hit our land drops, you know, I want to kind of set that element aside for now. I don't think we would have been in great shape. The opponent's deck is just on such a different axis from ours. If you want to sum it up quickly, Gemstone Mine is a nightmare. Thanks for checking in. We'll be around for game 2.